Hey guys, Miles from Ramos, and it's a full 24 hours after kickoff, and finally had the time to make this video. This is the post game review, and we're gonna be reviewing quite a bit. First and foremost, we're gonna start with the final score. It was a loss for the Miami Dolphins, 31-10. Buffalo Bills swiftly kicked the Dolphins' asses, and we're gonna get into some other stuff. If everyone knows, Tua suffered another concussion. Very unfortunate. So we're gonna get into all of that. I wanted to, do my due diligence before coming to you guys with content here. But yeah, it was a tough game for the Miami Dolphins. They couldn't get the ball moving offensively. Mistake after mistake after mistake, and it wasn't great. It was very I guess the nicest way to put it was very unsatisfactory to watch. But it just sucks, just getting big brothered by the Buffalo Bills. You want to compete with them as much as possible and come out, try to put the best foot forward, and shoot yourself in the foot. Interception. Fumble on the goal line. Luckily, got called back because there was a false start on the offense. Like, what are we doing? Like, it was just one thing after the other, after the other, turnover on downs, just bad decisions, and some of them led to possibly the ultimate demise of the season is losing your starting quarterback, one that you just paid a lot of money in the offseason to, one that had quite a bit of questions, in terms of their health and, whether or not they should be even playing in the NFL, due to the fact that were chronic to getting concussions. They went a whole year without getting concussion. And then here we are back at square one 2 weeks into the season. But without further ado, let's talk about the game and the game itself. It wasn't a good game by any means for the Miami Dolphins. And shout out to James Cook, South Florida native. Anytime any of these guys from South Florida come down to Miami to play the Dolphins, you can almost guarantee that they're going to have themselves quite a game, and that's exactly what James Cook did. He had 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. He had 17 yards receiving. That was that receiving touchdown he had. And then he had 78 yards rushing. So not a crazy game for him, but not efficient. 11 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, as long as 49. So, yeah. It's quite unfortunate. Josh Allen really didn't do much. He was under 200 yards passing. So was Tua. But yeah, thought the throwback magic was going to help us. It unfortunately did not. And yeah, those are some of the crimes we got to pay. But without further ado, let's get into the highlight. So, like I said, the Dolphins had struggled moving the ball early. Just you can see it here, just on a running play. Just couldn't get the ball going. And then here we go. Interception to start off the opening drive. Off of one of the Dolphins were thin out receiver, and it just wasn't good. It hit the guy's shoulder and intercepted by the Bills. Not too shortly after, James Cook gets in the end zone. The Dolphins respond. They got a chance to move down the field and then respond with an Achane touchdown. Josh Allen bobbles the snap. He actually closes his fist before the ball gets there. The Bills would punt very shortly after that. But here is something we've never seen before. 2 first half interceptions by Tua. Miscommunication with him and Chosen Anderson. Robbie Chosen, whatever the hell he wants to go by now. But yeah, unforeseen Tua having 2 interceptions in the first half. Big play here by Jordan Brooks, being able to go out and defend Curtis Samuel out of the linebacker position. Saved the Dolphins a couple points there. But not too shortly after, Jordan Poyer gets taxed with unnecessary roughness, helmet-to-helmet contact on his former teammate Khalil Shakir, and McDaniel doesn't like it. But just wait, McDaniel. Got something crazy happening later for you. Don't you worry. Later on in that drive, Josh Allen extends the play and finds, I don't know who found there, but extends the play, finds one of his backs who leaked out, and let's set up this quick and easy James Cook rushing touchdown. A few times in this game, Achane was able to get loose and get to the second level of this defense, and this was one of those moments. But few and far in between. Later on in the drive, third and short, give it to Alec Ingold. The offensive line is not getting any push up. And then the Dolphins decide to go for it on fourth down and add Oliver sacks to up. Not a great look there. And then I think this is in the second half. Tua feeling some pressure, throwing out of a sack, and it does not end well. Tua's third interception of the game was a pick 6. Not so great for the Miami Dolphins. But, kept on firing, found Waddle down the field. The Dolphins were able to move the ball relatively decently well at the second half, but it was too little too late. Achane finally getting to the second level once again, but few and far in between in those type of runs. Here is third down, and then the eventful fourth down run by Tua, running into Damar Hamlin there, which he would be concussed on. This isn't on Damar Hamlin, guys. This is on Tua. You got to know when to slide and get down. And, yep, McDaniel, there's your surprise. Your number one quarterback is down. Just a lot of the players on offense taking a knee, just completely upset with what's happening here. Tua was able to walk off on his own will, which is very good. And, I love to see that. Just hate what is happening in this situation, that Tua is going through this. McDaniel just giving him a little kiss, saying, I appreciate you, and all of his teammates there to support him. He makes it to the walk room, perfectly fine. No need to cart him off. And then we got one more play. Skylar Thompson comes in for Tua, targets Chosen Anderson, whatever his name is at this point, and gets the ball batted away. Not much else happened after that, and it was an eventful night for this Miami Dolphins team, and it's just very unfortunate. The Miami Dolphins have big expectations. They want to be playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders, etc. And something like this is crucial. If you can't have a quarterback that can't sustain some of the blows that come with playing in the NFL, it's going to keep you shorthanded because he's not going to be on the field. I'm hoping everything goes well for Tua. I'm pulling for him. Absolutely one of my favorite players on this Dolphins team. I loved what he's evolved to. But the facts are facts. He's suffered many concussions, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But let's talk about the game itself. So when we look over some of the stats, Josh Allen didn't have himself a crazy night, but he didn't need to, just the way the game was playing out. He went 13 of 19, 139 yards, 1 touchdown. He wasn't sacked. And then we have Tua, who went 17 of 25, 145 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, sacked once for a loss of 6 yards. Skylar Thompson coming in for relief. He went 8 of 14, 80 yards, and sacked once for a loss of 7 yards. Not so great for the Dolphins. Just all around, especially offensively, I feel like the defense is just getting gas. You're on the field pretty much the entire game. What are you going to do there? But yeah, James Cook led the Bills in rushing. 11 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, longest for 49. Ray Davis was shortly behind him with 9 carries for 29 yards. For the Miami Dolphins, Devon Achane, 22 carries, 96 total yards, longest of 17. Tua was shortly behind them, 2 carries of 17. And then Tyreek Hill had 1 carry for 12 yards. Receiving, Khalil Shakir led the Bills in receptions with 5 receptions, 54 total yards, longest of 21. Ty Johnson had a big reception. That was the one that he had slipped out and got some leverage on Jalen Ramsey on the goal line for 33 total yards. Dalton Kincaid, 4 receptions for 33 yards. James Cook, 1 reception for 17 yards and a touchdown. And this honorable mention, Curtis Samuel, 1 reception, 3 yards. For the Miami Dolphins, Devon Achane was the leading receiver with 7 receptions, 69 total yards, and a touchdown. Jonnu Smith, surprising performance with 6 receptions, 53 total yards. Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 41 yards. Tyreek Hill, very stifled in this matchup, 3 receptions for 24 yards. Grant DeBoose, 1 reception for 13 yards. And Jeff Wilson Jr., 2 receptions for 12. honorable mentions, Durham Smythe and Robbie Chosen both got receptions. Josh Allen fumbled the ball, but he also recovered it. Leading tackler for the Buffalo Bills was Damar Hamlin with 10 total tackles, 8 solo. Let's keep it moving. Braylon Spector also had 10 total. So did Dorian Williams. All those guys had a tackle for a loss. So did Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rapp, Gregory Russo. Ed Oliver had 2 tackles for a loss. Von Miller had a tackle for a loss. Casey Toohill had a tackle for a loss. I mean, a lot of 10 tackles for a loss. So, the Bills were in the Dolphins' backfield and stopping a lot of these short plays or just runs in general. And then also we had sacks. Ed Oliver had a sack. So did Von Miller. All right, let's keep it moving. We had the Dolphins. David Long Jr. was a leading tackler with 11 total, 9 solo. Shortly after him was Jordan Brooks with 6 total, 4 solo. David Long Jr. had 2 tackles for a loss. Quentin Bell, Zach Sealer had a tackle for a loss. Chop Robinson had a tackle for a loss. 4 tackles for a loss for the Dolphins. Couldn't get in the backfield. Couldn't really get anything going defensively if you're gassed out by being on the field all the time. DeMarcus Ingram with 2 interceptions, one of which was the pick 6, 56 yards on that return. And then we also have Christian Befford, who had a pick return for 6 total yards. In terms of kick returns, there was 1 kick return by Ray Davis for 25 total yards. And then kicking stats, Tyler Bass went 1 of 2 for field goals, longest of 43, and then for 4 on extra points. Jay Sanders went 1 for 1 on field goals, 1 for 1 on extra points. Punts. Sam Martin had 3 punts for 149 yards, 1 touchback, 2 of which under 20, longest of 65. And then Jake Bailey had 1 punt for 48 total yards. It was in the 20. Man. Standings. The Buffalo Bills lead the AFC East 2-0. Dolphins dropped technically to 3rd, but could go down to 4th, depending on what happens with the New York Jets this week, which I fully expect them to beat the Tennessee Titans. So fully expect the Dolphins to possibly be in 4th place after week 2 is over. Man, don't you just love Thursday night games? Don't you just love them? This was a tough game for the Miami Dolphins. They struggled offensively. Defense was on the field the whole time. In all honesty, let's look at the time of possession, because that's the big thing I want to see here. Time of possession. Surprisingly so, the Dolphins had bigger time of possession, but they also had long sustaining drives in the second half, which made a big difference in this time of possession. But 36 minutes, 19 seconds to the Bills, 23 minutes, 41 seconds. This Dolphins team got punched in the mouth, did not perform well. Turnovers were killer, penalties as well. Bills had 1 penalty for 5 yards. Dolphins had 7 penalties for 50. Dolphins had 3 turnovers. You can't do that and win a game, especially when your quarterback goes down. It's just not a good recipe for success. Man. So my keys to victory were to contain Josh Allen. That didn't happen. Obviously, you saw that big extended play that happened. And then they didn't even get in the backfield at all. So didn't achieve on that. They ran the ball pretty well with Achane. I was expecting him not to play, so my key to victory for that one was a little bit hindered on more so the fact that Achane probably wasn't going to play when I made the video. And then I think the third one was just to gas the Bills defense, and they did nothing. So, yeah, that's pretty much the review. But we have some other stuff we want to get into, and that is the status of none other than Tua Tagovailoa. So let's talk about Tua. Guys, it was a scary thing that we saw. And it's not the first time Dolphin fans have seen it. Actually, at this point, technically, it's the 4th time. So we saw it the first time, coincidentally enough, against the Buffalo Bills. It happened in, I want to say week 3 of 2022. Yeah, so Tua takes a big hit by Matt Milano, stumbles, and then shortly after, on a Thursday night game, to the Bengals, suffered his big concussion. Finally came back later in the year, suffered another concussion against the Green Bay Packers on Christmas. Then, 2 years later, we're dealing with the same issue. Tua is getting concussed against the Buffalo Bills early on in the season. Really hope everything is going well for him. I was really happy to see him walk off the field, but just because he walked off the field doesn't mean he's fine. You have no idea. None of us have a single clue what is going on. One, in his head. Two, just generally speaking, like the health of this guy. Like that. Obviously, you want your best players out there, but if they're not healthy and they are, in Tua's case, concussion prone, is it worth having him out there? That is a question that not only myself, but I would imagine plenty of other Dolphin fans are having right now. Not saying I don't want Tua to play football ever again, but I'm scared for him to play football ever again. This is legitimately scary, because if, God forbid, this happens again, and he can't walk off the field, he never walks again. Like, what happens? Are we just going to be fine with letting that happen if that's the case? So these are some things that you legitimately have to question and think about when it comes to this type of situation. Of course, you would love to have, Pro Bowl quarterback Tua on the field. But if the possibility of this happening again and it being 10 times worse, that he can't even fathom walking off the field, happens again, it for me, it wouldn't sit right in my head. Is that me saying that I don't want to see Tua suit up ever again? No. I would love to see Tua go out there and play again, but the danger is always going to be there. And I'm not backtracking the fact that the Dolphins extended him this offseason, made him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Deservingly so. His play last year backed up a lot of what these Dolphin fans have been hoping for, looking for, etc. And then two, just the fact of proving to everyone that he's that guy. And I will pound any drum and go to war for him, saying that he is that guy, because what I've seen out of him, he's been phenomenal. There are certain instances that he hasn't performed in these big time games. Yeah, he can't beat the top dog in the division, Buffalo Bills. Typically has bad games against them. It happens. But the thing that it's not unacceptable, but the thing that we can't fully stand with is him getting concussed. It's very unfortunate. Not saying, he should have slid, but if he would have slid, he would have avoided that. But also, if the Dolphins weren't in such a hole and they desperately needed a touchdown, wouldn't have been in that position either. So a lot of things led to this thing happening. But it was just weird that it wasn't such a crazy hit that has taken him out most previous times. Like other times, he was hitting his head on the ground. In this case, he hit his head on somebody. It's unfortunate, but this is the Dolphins' future, and they have to approach it with care, and they have to let Tua come to a decision. They cannot be like, hey, we just paid you all this money, you have to play. If Tua seriously doubts that he could play at a high level without suffering another one of these concussions, then he probably has to walk away from playing football. So it's a very sad thing to think about and just fathom, but it's a harsh truth, and the truth hurts a lot. So sorry to put it on such a negative connotations, but it's a negative situation. This is gonna torment the franchise for right now, for possibly years to come. We'll just have to wait and see. My big thing is, where do the Dolphins go from here? I think they should start searching for a veteran backup quarterback. Whether or not they want to bring back in Mike White, they want to trade for a guy like Trey Lance, something in that range, like a Josh Dobbs. My issue is, whatever the Dolphins trade for, either you say you're gonna rock with Skylar Thompson and just do whatever with him just to, keep the season afloat, or you try to seriously go out there and get someone who can help this Dolphins team compete. I'm not trashing Skylar Thompson at all, but there are options out there, and there are veteran quarterbacks out there. Not saying that he should, but guys like Ryan Tannehill. Imagine Ryan Tannehill coming back to this team, to this Miami Dolphins team, with the weapons they have, redeeming his tenure here in Miami. Strictly on a 1 year, get yourself back in the league type of deal. I don't say no. I say, why not? But, I'm not in the Dolphins front office. I'm not anywhere remotely affiliated with the Dolphins, aside from the fact that I make YouTube videos about them in my free time. So that's pretty much it. Dolphins looked very bad, and it's been overshadowed by the fact that Tua got hurt, got concussed, etc. So things moving forward is need to prioritize player safety. So whatever Tua decides to do, because it should only be Tua's decision, aside from like speaking to medical professionals and stuff like that. Like whatever he decides to do after he gets all he needs to know, that is the decision, and that is it. Aside from that, the Dolphins need to be proactive and figure out a temporary solution and possibly look forward to what can they do, because they locked down most of this offensive core for the next 2 to 3 years, at least some of these guys 4 years. So not saying you want to tie guys at the hip, but they pretty much did that with them and Tua and a lot of these offensive playmakers. So something's got to give, something's got to figure it out. And, time is money. They got to figure it out quick. Aside from that, it's upsetting to see the Dolphins lose in this fashion, and then just to add insult to injury, literally, your star quarterback goes down. So it just sucks as a grand scheme of thing. But hey, it's week 2. They're gonna have at least 10 days to prepare Skylar Thompson for the next week's game at Seattle. So yeah, we'll have more on that when we get closer to the game time for that one. But as of for right now, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.